Oh shit. I see y'all there. I see y'all there, bruh. Y'all think I'm gonna let y'all keep hanging with the show is starting soon, coming through so early? Nah, fuck that noise, bruh. We on. We live. Oh shit. God damn it. All right, douche mode activated. What's the deal? Mario here, Infighting FX. Y'all know what's going on. So, uh, early birds. Dude, I love y'all. I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for tapping in already, dude. To be honest with you, the way the data's been looking, I'm on live for like 45 minutes to an hour and a half before anybody really starts to show up. So I appreciate everybody here early. Because y'all are here early, um, we're gonna chat before we chat. So I need about like 10 minutes. No, we could do this in 5. Let's see. I'll just use the same streaming thing for everybody else. Let me see. All right, because today we're gonna get into the Eubank stuff for sure. Bro, did y'all see that Connor Ben, he said that he took Chris Eubank's soul? It was a couple days ago at the press conference. It was hilarious because he lost the fight, so that's a big part of it. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about all the promotions. The weigh-ins, I think, just happened. Also, the weigh-ins for, oh, fuck, who was it? Oh, shit, I'm not live on IG. I don't know what's going on there. Okay, so anyway, the weigh-ins also happened for the featherweight fight. Rafael Espinosa is fighting, is it Kamagi? I think it is. Um, those weigh-ins just happened. Y'all have to see the face-off. Okay, Rafael Espinosa is 6'1", and his opponent is like 5'6". No, he's not 5'6". He's like 5'7". But it is incredibly shocking to see still, even living in an era of Fedora. It is still shocking to see. We're also going to talk about UFC 322. I'm really excited for this card. Like growing up in my era of UFC, right? I was like from the beginning, right? Like I'm going to be that annoying guy. Like RIP Burt Sugar, fucking loved him. You know what I'm saying? Like one of the greatest of all times. But I'll be honest, it was a little annoying hearing about how his era was always so much better than mine. And all the greats that came before, and talking about their era of boxing, you know what I'm saying? Has always been annoying because I always feel like my era of boxing is the greatest. You know what I mean? The 4 featherweights of Pacquiao, Marquez, Barrera, Morales. Give me a better era of combination of fighters that possessed the athleticism, the ability, the ring IQ, and the fight scripts to produce fireworks. I can't tell you enough. And people would talk about like Hearns but like a lot of those fights, they were good, but they were good at certain points. You know what I mean? It wasn't like these were all out wars between these guys. You know what I'm saying? So it was really special. And the UFC is like, that's where I'm at, right? Because I was there at the beginning, right? I was there for UFC 1. My uncle ordered it for us. We were fucking kids. All I understood is we were finally going to find out who is better: karate, jiu-jitsu, taekwondo, sumo wrestling, boxing. What was the better, and this is like on of the like off the height of like Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, Sylvester Stallone, who's the guy with the ponytail that's probably killed like millions of hookers? Steven Seagal. Steven Seagal, that guy. So you know what I mean? Like it was like right for that kind of promotion. Here we are now about to celebrate the 322nd iteration of a UFC pay-per-view. And that's not including all the fight nights. That's not including the Tough series, which I went back and saw the Brock Lesnar one the other day when the first episode with Brock Lesnar, when he did the Ultimate Fighter as a coach. You know, they had Tony Ferguson and they had what's the black welterweight's name? That was the champ. Oh fuck, I forgot his name. Dude, these guys were like just contestants. I mean, you go back and you watch Tough, like, God, that was such a good show that they fucked up. But anyway, we're gonna talk about that. We don't have a lot of wrestling stuff today. I feel like I've been doing a shit ton of wrestling lately. And it's not that I don't want to, it's that I don't really see anything that is like popping up on the news that's really like worth my time. I mean, not worth my time. I mean, like, you know, interesting to talk about. I mean, but there are two things that I find very interesting right now. So if you are a wrestling fan or if you're not a wrestling fan, I think you'll find this interesting. Mike Santana. Okay, this is a wrestler who maybe you know him from LAX when they like gave him and his partner at the time, you know, they passed off the mantle of the LAX gimmick. Since then, you know, he had signed to AEW. He's one of the first, you know, to sign after the company had already become a thing, right? And he's a tag team specialist. Him and his partner have a very bad breakup in AEW. I mean, grossly bad. The Santana Ortiz split today is still not understood fully. Anyway, Mike Santana goes missing from wrestling, really. I mean, yeah, he's doing some like indie circuits, but he's not on AEW anymore. Like, he's nowhere to be found. And we find out that he had been suffering from addiction, and he had been battling you know, addiction, which is a very prevalent problem in wrestling. Not as much today as it once was, but still always in sports. You know, you go out there and they expect you to hurt your body. They have to expect you to take care of it too. You know, and when these people say you're contractors and they're not going to fucking pay for your health care and shit like that, like, dude, of course you're going to start popping opioids, dude. Of course. Like, I hate the people that have zero experience with opioids or addiction or pain or anything like that, and they fucking judge so badly. But at the end of the day, you know, Mike battled his demons and he came back and he became the the world champion of TNA. And he won on their biggest show, by the way, Bound for Glory, for which the Hardy Boys and the Dudley Boys wrestled, you know, the last time it was being built as, right? Huge event. Chris Jericho goes on the radio this week on his podcast and basically says that event made TNA look like the second biggest company in the world. Clearly a shot at AEW, but I digress. Catching you up now, Mike Santana as the champion yesterday lost the title, and Abe Gonzalez, who is my boss and FightsATW.com's owner and editor in chief, you know, he messaged me, he said, "Hey, are you seeing what's going on with this Mike Santana stuff? The social media is losing it on this shit." And I look and I hadn't even realized he'd lost the title yet. Okay. So he lost the title. Now TNA is hours from their Turning Point pay-per-view, and Mike Santana is missing. Missing is the word that wrestling media is using right now all over the internet. Ringside News: Mike Santana missing ahead of TNA Turning Point. WrestleZone: TNA Impact spoil. Oh, my bad. Never mind. Wait. Oh, those are the wrong ones. My bad. Turning Point in turmoil. Mike Santana AWOL. Frankie Kazarian reigns as TNA champion. Mike Santana missing ahead of Turning Point. That was Ringside News. The first one was Slam Wrestling. TNA Wrestling Impact. TPWW. Mike Santana reportedly not backstage for Turning Point, TNA's 2025 event. TNA Impact audio review. Oh, that was the right name of shit. TNA plans after Mike Santana no-show Turning Point. Now, this is a developing story, okay? And we're going to talk about this. I sent the leak to Abe, so hopefully he can jump on. And I really wanted Super Mex to come on. If you didn't hear the show last night, we did 4 hours. and it was the 20th anniversary of Eddie Guerrero and his death. So I wanted to have a real conversation about his legacy. You know what I mean? Not just like a wrestling conversation, which is important, obviously, but what he meant to wrestling and how it translated outside, and impacted Hispanic men like myself, right? And not just Hispanic men. I mean, every single culture has resonated with Eddie Guerrero in one way or another, in a major way, by the way. Um, Supermax told a story about his father who suffers from addiction and has suffered from addiction for a very long time, who's currently locked up and doing a bid for which he will likely not see daylight for a while, a long while, if ever. And while all of that is unfortunate, Supermax had the ball. I don't want to say balls. That sounds crude. He had the guts. He had the fortitude to be honest on air yesterday and talk about Eddie and how when he won the title, and after Eddie suffered his own addictions and everything, it gave him hope that his dad, and this is Supermax as a young kid, right? So, you have to keep that in context. But as a young man, as a young boy, Supermax saw Eddie win, and that gave him hope that his dad would clean up his act. And his dad was a huge Eddie fan, right? So he thought, hey, look, Eddie did it. Maybe my dad will see this and want better for himself and for us. It was a very, very tough story to hear, but it was exactly what I wanted on this show. And I thank him still today for doing that. Anyway, I say all that to say that I have an experience with addiction. I have a vast experience with addiction. I have in-laws, my brother-in-law, many of my family members actually are addicts and have passed from addiction, specifically with opioids. So I understand that fight very well with addiction. I've seen addiction in many forms: alcohol, heroin, opioids, which I mean, I guess basically the same. Lean. A lot of friends that I had in the mid 2000s were addicted to lean, and I can say that I also had not a problem with lean. It was way too expensive to have a habit for someone like me, but I felt the pressure of 2000s screw music. And I'm not going to blame it all on like DJ Screw and Fat Pat and shit like that. I am going to say that it heavily influenced my decision to use promethazine with codeine. And it's stupid. It's like the worst thing to do for yourself, especially as a kid. Thank God I was too poor at the time to afford a real habit, but I had many friends that suffered that habit. And gambling is something that I'm seeing right now. Last night on the show, we talked about Brian Mandel. I'm from Corpus Christi. If you haven't heard the news, it's been on ESPN, Fox Sports News, Fox News, MSNBC, and CNN. All these major channels covered it. By the way, my local news, where Brian is from and where Scott Mandel is a Republican running for office, they just covered it yesterday, 48 hours after the whole thing went down. Can you imagine? Now, I'm not saying Corpus is a crooked state, not at all. What I am saying is that the media's, you're able to buy them at any turn you want. But how Corpus was so late on that coverage, bruh. Don't even tell me that shit was just fucking whatever. Anyway, but we talked about Brian Mandel and we talked about where he's at right now. So if you haven't heard this news, I'm from Corpus. That is where the man that you've heard who has made terroristic threats to the University of Louisville head coach, Brom is the name. Brom's brother, who's also the offensive coordinator for U of L. Brian Mandel reportedly, okay, he's been indicted, but he's not been, found guilty yet. Whatever, hasn't gone through the trial, but he has been indicted on terroristic threats. Now, reportedly, he text messaged the head coach and the offensive coach saying that he was basically going to end them. And the head coach has now come and, he pressed charges. Now, I thought the charges were in Texas because Texas has a law for like not harassing people, like even in other countries and stuff. And they can prosecute you from Texas, but he was extradited to Louisville. Guys, I'm going to tell y'all, Brian Mandel was like the straight egg of my school. I went to school with this guy. He was the straightest egg in the world. How you go from being a football player who played in high school goes to Baylor. He's on the planning commission for the Corpus Christi board. Dude, how do you get so fucked up one night that you just start texting, not DMing from your fucking throwaway? This isn't your Finsta account we're talking. We're not talking about a burner. We're talking about this man got on his government issued phone. No, not government. You know what I'm saying? He got on his fucking T-Mobile carrier. Fuck. My bad. He got on his T-Mobile, whatever, AT&T carrier, and he's just like, I'm a fucking in y'all, blah, blah, blah. Like, bro, that's not normal, dog. And here's the thing. Maybe you don't follow football. That's all good, right? We ain't talking about it. But what you do have to know context-wise is U of L suffered a huge, embarrassing loss. I think it was an overtime loss, okay, a couple of weeks ago or last week. What was it? I think it was last week. Now, reportedly, extortion is on the table for Brian Mandel. He asked for $10,000 back. One thing you also have to know is that Brian runs a gambling site. So all this is connected. All of this is I'm trying to tell you is that gambling, alcohol, it doesn't matter. Addiction is a monster and eats you from within. I am not sitting here saying that Mike Santana has relapsed. Not at all. I'm not sitting here trying to say any of that. What I am saying is you shouldn't be using words like missing. That invokes a certain feeling, and that invokes, I'm not going to say PTSD. I don't even know what you would call it. Ash, what would you call it when like people use like trigger words and then it triggers you even if they don't mean to do it? Like, okay, imagine like a wrestling magazine. Oh no, this is going to be stupid, but like, I don't know. I'm trying to come up with a metaphor to kind of explain what I'm trying to say, but like they used the word missing when they talked about Chris Benoit. I don't know if you were young enough to know or like old enough to remember when Chris Benoit actually went missing. And there was like this period of maybe 24 hours. I don't remember how long. As a kid, it felt like a full day and a half, but it probably was less than that. There was a point where he was just missing and we didn't know anything. And then there was a moment where we knew he was gone. He had passed violently and along with his family, but we didn't know what happened yet. Right. So there were words that we used, or that media used, I should say, to trigger the response they were looking for. Now, I'm not saying that's what WrestleZone's doing. I'm not saying that's what Ring News is doing. But I don't know, dude. The way they're reporting it, they're making it almost sound like as if we should be scared that Mike is missing. And I don't know why I called him Mike, like he's my fucking friend. Like, Santana has an incredible story. And I really think they failed him. TNA, WWE, everyone failed him in this face run. Now, a lot of people, including myself, think he would be much better off as a heel. I think his heel work is really where it will land. And if Mike Santana is ever going to hit that next notch, I think it will be as a heel. And you go and you look at the history of wrestling, right? Stone Cold, Hulk Hogan, even John Cena, you could, every time you have a turn from one of these major characters, the heel version of them always explodes faster, right? Stone Cold, The Rock, even Shawn Michaels. Like, go down the list, and every single one of these guys as a babyface, that next time they went heel, they exploded. It rarely happens the other way. You got what? Cody, John Cena, Bret Hart. Those are probably like the three names I could think of that it happened the other way, but mostly it goes face to heel superstardom, right? Rarely does it go heel to face superstardom. Now, Mike I think they should have leaned heavier into him coming back from addiction and telling that story. You see, the problem is sometimes wrestling promoters and bookers treat it like they're still in the 70s, like with kids out in the fucking thing. And that's fine, because there are kids out there and we should keep that in mind. However, using real dialogue, using real storylines that draw from real aspects of life, that is what keeps us interested. That is what makes us fans. That is what turns simple-minded wrestling that everybody makes fun of, that because they don't understand it, into No, let me show you this shit, and then you tell me what you think about wrestling. You know how many fucking friends I've had that have talked shit that I like wrestling, and then I sat them down and I showed them something, and they were like, oh, fuck. You know, Stone Cold and The Rock's match, The Rock and Hogan, Mankind, Undertaker, you know, all these moments that I've pointed out to in the past, and it's like they're bigger than that, right? I think Mike Santana could have absolutely had a bigger impact as a face had they leaned more into the underdog aspect of his story. That said, he's not shown up yet. And not only that, reports are that he did not even take place in his meet and greet. He had a post event meet and greet signing scheduled that he ditched out on. Now, according to Sean Ross Sapp, TNA is leaning into the real fan backlash after Santana dropped the TNA World Championship to Frankie Kazarian. Instead of avoiding the controversy, the company is reportedly spinning into a storyline claiming Santana didn't show up and that no one has heard from him. So, again, this is likely storyline, right? Playing into it with his addiction and all that, and that is the backdrop of his character, right? It leads you to a place. Like, it feels like they're intentionally trying to lead you to a place. And if at the end of the day it's all done for wrestling storyline, like if Mike Santana is really pissed off that he lost the title, that's crazy, dude. That's crazy. You're a fucking wrestler. Like, you do your job, you go in there. And sometimes the fans just aren't having it with you, dude. They're just not resonating. And that's okay. You try it again. You know how many times Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart had to be champion before their careers actually took off? Ric Flair, same thing. Hulk Hogan, same thing, really. I can't imagine that this gets turned into anything like backlash wise, like people talk shit. I don't think people are gonna look at it the way I do, like because maybe I'm looking at it too far, right? Like maybe I'm looking at this and like drawing too much from it, right? But all I can do is use like my ability to recognize data points and like recognize patterns. And I see it, dude. I see the language that these fucking people are using. And dude, I'm telling you, I fucking am proud that I write for fightsatw.com. I am proud. You know how proud I am? How many of you know that I write for 2 other websites? None. How many times have I mentioned those other websites? Never. I do contract work for them. That's part of it, right? Abe, I'm actually, I work for the website, right? That's different for what I do for the other guys. But that's a belief that Abe has in me. But I can't say that this is why, but it resonates, I think, because it's a belief I have in him. I know he's never going to put out bullshit. You go to fightsatw.com any fucking day of the week and you come back to this show, bro, I'll cash app you. I'll cash app you $100 for every story you find that's cap, or every story you find that's fucking clickbait bullshit. Go ahead. I'm not worried about my money. Abe don't put that bullshit out. I'm telling y'all right now. Listen, this world when it comes to media is fucking crazy, bro. And we're gonna get into the Eubank-Benn 2 stuff right now, but I just want to finish up on this Mike Santana stuff. And also we're gonna talk about Joe Hendry. Bro, he got signed. I just scared the shit out of Canelo. He just got signed to WWE, bro. You know who's been saying that on these airways for like 5-6 months already? One Abe Gonzalez. In fact, and here's the thing, I do hope he comes through, but part of me is like not wanting him to come through because I don't want to be like, I'm definitely gonna have to eat crow for this shit. I did not believe him at all, bro. And here's the thing, if you've been watching this show, okay, for the last year, then you know that we are all together on a mystery hunt, okay? Because I'm telling y'all right now, Abe Gonzalez has a mole inside that WWE office. I know it. I fucking know it. Now, I'm not going to accuse him of anything. And obviously, this is a sacred thing amongst writers and journalists, right? Sources. Listen, there have been stories that I wrote for the Boxing Voice that I didn't give Ness my source. And he trusted me enough to know that I was, going through the proper channels. I was double checking my sources, doing all the things that a good journalist does. I'm not saying I'm a good journalist. I'm just saying that I tried to be a good journalist. And yet I see the data points there. How the fuck did Abe know like 90% of the shit he's booked this year? I don't know. All I'm saying is I think he's got somebody in that writer's room. But we'll keep you apprised on what's going on with this Mike Santana stuff. Again, I don't mind using this stuff for storyline. I do mind media using language that provokes a certain response, especially in wrestling. You don't use words like missing. You don't use words like no show. Well, maybe not no show. No show is kind of predominant, but yeah, like making certain inferences and stories about a former or about an addict, because you're never a former addict, by the way. Once an addict, always an addict. And I keep that for myself. I had major problem with alcohol in college. So like I don't really drink today. I might have a beer or two here or there, but I just don't drink heavy liquor anymore. And more so is like it just doesn't vibe with me, dude. I'll never forget being 23 years old, right? Being so drunk that I walked into Whataburger with no shoes. Even today, I couldn't tell you where those shoes were. Walked into Whataburger, proceeded to order 2 Bobs and 2 bacon, egg, and cheese tacos with 16 picantes on the side, meaning I used 4 picantes for each quantity of food, okay? And I'm hammered as shit. My girlfriend at the time is driving, obviously. And she's like, you know what? We're just going to go to my parents' house. They're right down the road. They won't mind. I got the key. We'll just spend the night there. So we spend the night there. Her family had come in that evening. And when I got up to use the bath, or when I got up for the morning, which by the way, the whole house had already been up for hours. So I looked like the piece of shit boyfriend that sleeps till fucking 11. Thank you, alcohol. I needed to use the bathroom. Bad. This is an alcohol, like fucking cheap liquor, dirty, watery shit that I'm about to take. And I know it. This isn't no like, hey, they live in the sticks. Just go dig a fucking hole in the backyard, cover that shit. It'll be good. Nah, bro, that crime scene would have been too dirty. You know what I mean? So I'm waiting for her sister to get out of the shower. She's in the shower. 5 minutes go by, 10 minutes go by, 15 minutes go by, and I'm literally sweating, and I'm starting to get nauseous. So I tell my girlfriend at the time, I said, dude, I'm going to go to the store. She's like, what? I have to drive down the store. There's a convenience store down the road. I'm like, I got to go. I have to. She's like, okay, whatever, I guess, right? And now the whole house is going to know that I had to take such a bad shit that I left the house. I physically left where we were and the privacy of their bathroom to go to another bathroom, because that's how dangerous this shit was. And now they all know it, right? There's no reason you leave to go to a corner store bathroom in the fucking late of morning unless you have to take a dirty alcohol shit. So I get to this corner store just in the nick of time. And what happens after that, I will not describe to you. All I will say is that I did not think it was possible for you to projectile out of opposite ends of your body at the same time. And that's what happened. A throw up shit. Literally at the same time. I was actually, I think it was 24 at the time. Yeah, I think I was 24 at the time, because it was right before TBV. And so that was like one of the last times like I really, really drank. I was like, nope, this is a good enough rock bottom for me. My girlfriend's entire family thinks that I'm an alcoholic shitbag, literally, who had to shit his pants. And then I come back and everybody's like so apologetic. They're like, oh my God, we didn't know you had these. It wasn't a big deal. Fucking dripping sweat. Probably smelt like puke. and alcohol still. By the way, I still reeked of alcohol that night. See, that's the thing is alcohol is like you take it in and it just doesn't leave you alone like at all. Like if you drink alcohol, you got to know that you're going to have that good time, but you're going to pay for it in some way. Like, and I'm not saying it's like, oh, it's the end of the world. I mean, hangovers suck, but this was a lot more than a hangover. So we're going to see a place in January. Okay, so okay, I think we're good on the Eubank stuff. We're ready to rock. Oh, real quick, yeah. Abe had said Joe Hendry was coming out, and he was going to do it for the Cena tournament. Did not believe him one bit, but guess what? He was fucking right. It has been reported that Joe Hendry signs WWE contract after TNA departure. This is from Ringside News. The brilliant people that brought you the clickbait title, Mike Santana missing. Joe Hendry's star power in pro wrestling was self-created, and it should be studied. He went from an indie performer in the UK to a global sensation by the way of TNA wrestling. There was no comma needed there. After capture the attention of the WWE universe through NXT, it seems that WWE has said his name. Dave Meltzer wrote in the Wrestling Observer newsletter to state that Joe Hendry's TNA wrestling contract has expired. It was noted that he has signed with the WWE. Joe Hendry's TNA contract expired this past week, and he signed here. It's been known for months that it was going to happen, Meltzer wrote. It should be noted that this was in the WWE section of his newsletter. It was also noted that it's been known for months that this was going to happen. After all, he has become a staple of NXT as he appears every week when someone says his name. Yeah, so oh shit, dude. That Christopher Nolan Odyssey movie, bro, if you're not excited for that, man, you need to get your testosterone checked. I'm not even trying to hate, bro. That shit is, what is this? Fix this tab. Marjorie Taylor Greene says, Greene says Trump's stance on Epstein files is a huge miscount. Oh, shit. That's what, oh, man. All right. I feel bad now because, wait, what time is it? Oh, it's only 35 minutes. Okay. So from now on, we're going to do it like this. The first hour, and I got to give a shout out to my wife because she's that one that gave me this idea. The first hour, we're just going to kick it. And then we'll start the show after that because everybody that gets here early, dude, I want to give y'all a better show. Not a better show, but like a more of a show, right? Like I want to be able to like branch out a little bit just for the sake of y'all who get here early, right? Because obviously y'all want to vibe out. I'm vibing out with y'all. In fact, I'm going to vibe out properly right now. And look, my wife got me this Libra lighter. So we got to talk about it real quick, dude. I know, and look, I'm getting the DMs, I'm getting the emails. I promise you guys, we're not talking about politics anymore. I promise, okay? I know y'all don't like it. I know y'all don't want it from this platform. However, I am starting 2 new shows under my platform, Soup or Mario, SOUPOR Mario, on YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok. And we're going to be running 2 podcasts. The Super Mario Live stream will cover like politics and like random shit. And then we're doing the Purse Full of Snacks podcast. We're bringing that back where me and my wife are going to cover movies, TV shows, documentaries, even games too. We'll probably like cover like GTA 6 and shit like that and give them real world connections. Like, for example, we watched the show Death by Lightning. I don't know if any of y'all heard of it. It's on Netflix and it's about, babe, which president was it? Death by Lightning? Not Andrew Garfield, because that's the actor. James Garfield, who, if you don't know, he was assassinated What was the guy's name that assassinated him? Poutreau? He's like a French name, right? And is a very interesting show. Very interesting. I had no idea that when James Garfield won the presidency, he wasn't running for it. He was supporting another guy from Ohio. So the Republican Party, which at this time it was the Democrat, but like people are so uneducated on the past of our politics that they don't believe or understand the great switch which happened between the Republican and the Democratic Party. Now, all you have to do is look into the policies of both parties at the time and then compare them to the parties of today, and you'll see that there was a great switch, clearly, right? I mean, what else is it when the fucking same policies these people had in the 19th and 18th, or in the 19th century and the 20th century are the same now in the 21st century? Like, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, I digress. He wasn't running for president. They elected him because he was at the Republican National Convention and they were primarying everybody, right? And not James Buchanan, Grant. Grant was the guy that the Republicans wanted to win, right? So you had these shady fucking New York Republicans, right? There was this Senator Conwell. He was the biggest piece of shit. Like when people think of like a Democratic, like New York huckster, like car salesman, chasing lawyer, piece of shit politician, that's that guy. That was that guy to a degree. I mean, this is a guy who was just fucking in love with the Gold Coast of America that basically funded America and subsidized it, in its early incarnation. And so like he gives this speech because he's just so fucking pissed that the Republicans, and again, this is like more the Democratic Party, that the Republicans are fucking like not saying shit about what's really going on, right? Like they're just glad handing, shaking each other's hands and shit. And by the way, this is like the 17th or 18th win in a row for Republicans since Lincoln was elected. So Lincoln got elected and the Republicans won like 15 years in a row. And then it was like 27 out of like 30 years or something like that. Anyway, he gives this speech, James Garfield, Garfield gives this speech, and like three people are just like horned up about it. They're like, oh my God, he said the thing, right? Imagine like the Republicans having their party, right? And Trump's like there and he gives his speech, and JD Vance gives his speech, and everybody gives their speech, right? And then like somebody comes up and they're like, dude, I don't know why the fuck we're not releasing the Epstein files. I'm pretty sure one of you is in it, like super hardcore. You know what I mean? Like that's what the equivalency of to what Garfield did. He got fucking elected, dude. He got elected to president. Didn't run, didn't campaign. He just gave a 5-minute speech that blew everybody out of the fucking water, so much so. Also, it was way easier to control propaganda without social media spreading the truth everywhere. But he gets elected and he gets shot within the first 3 months of his presidency. He only lives for 5 months as president. He gets shot and then he dies 2 months later. And by the way, the bullet gets shot in him, right? It gets stuck in him. The doctor that is the White House doctor taking care of the president, every single day he's trying to fucking cut this bullet out of him that he can't find, right? And they bring this inventor, I can't remember who it is, but he's really famous. I'm sure most of you had heard of him, or at least heard the name. And he brings this like magnetron thing for the body. It's like the first of its kind. It's like an X-ray, like the first ever like fucking MRI. And they can hear it. They can hear all this fucking static for metal, but it's because the bed frame was metal. So the doctor just starts fucking cutting into the president, and the vice president, who hated the president, fucking stood up for the president, grabs the doctor, and this is reported that happened in the White House. There were people in the room that reported this. Okay, several. He grabbed him by the fucking collar and he said, "Doctor or no, he said, I'm putting that scalpel in your fucking ass if you touch him again." And the doctor dropped everything and they didn't touch him again. So he dies, right? It turns out that the doctor killed him. because he didn't sterilize any of the equipment that he put into his body every day. The bullet had actually landed in a piece of soft tissue that would have never bothered him. He could have lived with the bullet inside him for the rest of his life. The bullet had healed, the tissue had healed. By all accounts, the problem that the bullet caused wasn't a problem after like 2 or 3 weeks. Like everything had basically taken care of itself. What killed him was this doctor who didn't sanitize any of his shit at all. He was literally just taking scalpels out of his coat and cutting into the president like he was some fucking piece of deer meat. It was crazy, dude. But the reason why it's such a good show is it really gives you a good look at what's going on today, right? Like the Democratic Party is so fractured, so fractured. I mean, it's so easily to beat them right now because they don't even know where they're going, right? It's like you got Mondani, creating a hellstorm, right? Just absolutely firing people up. And then on the other side, you have these corporate Democrats that are just like, let's play ball like we always do. Let's just keep doing the same old shit. You'll get rich, I'll get rich, they'll get rich. Yeah, the people will kind of still be like pretty poor and shit, but who gives a fuck about that? We'll keep being rich. That's like what it feels like, right? And that's what the movie did. It really, or the series. It's only 3 parts too. It's a good watch. It's actually funny too. They have a lot of really good actors in it. It's a really good ensemble cast. But anyway, we've talked about that a lot. And the only reason I brought that up in the first place was, dude, did y'all see that Epstein stuff that dropped today? Please, I hope somebody in the comments just says, yes, you don't have to explain, because I really don't want to explain. I mean, I do, but I don't. Because I know somebody's going to get pissed. Like, I don't want to drive away anyone from this place, right? This place is for boxing and MMA. But, dude, how could I not talk about this? So Epstein's brother sent an email that insinuates that Trump and Clinton, Bill Clinton, were intimate with each other. And again, this isn't like some story that was made today because everybody hates Trump on the Democrat side. This is an email from a long time ago that has nothing to do with anything that's going on today. And in this email, they used the word Bubba, which is a reference to Bill Clinton. That was his nickname. Now the brother has come out, the one that wrote the email, and it said that Bubba was not in reference to Bill Clinton. However, the context of it all, which again, we need to have the full context. We need everything released. That's the problem with this stuff, right? I'm not shitting on anybody for any party, like specifically, because I am 100% sure, or at least believe, without being able to know factually, that there are Democrats and Republicans scattered in that thing. I'm sure of it. I mean, everybody keeps saying, well, if Trump was such a big deal, wouldn't Biden have already used it? Would he? Would he have used it? Like, if you're in there and your biggest donors in there and the fucking dudes you play fucking golf with on Sundays and the person whose kid you fucking, are the godfather to, and they're all just like big old fucking molesters and, dirty people. Like, I mean, I don't know, dude. I don't know if you're going to rat on yourself to save the ship, right? I don't think that's the nature of, like, it's so funny because on one side, Republicans are like, look at Biden and the Democrats, and they're so power hungry and they're just blah, blah. And it's like at the same time, like, well, yeah, but, you're also saying that they're, scattered throughout this whole thing that you don't want to release. But I don't know. It's whatever. But anyway, that came out. Apparently, Trump blew Clinton. I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know. I wasn't there. Okay. All I'm doing is telling you the news that is literally out everywhere. Literally everybody is talking about this. TikTok, I don't think there has been a single, like, if I'd have to guess for the last like 12 hours, I would say like 90% of TikToks are being made on this subject. Where are the receipts? Yeah, that's a big thing people are talking about too. So I am on Reddit, and being on Reddit, it allows you to see certain things that you probably wouldn't see in a lot of other places. And the communities there are very protective, right? Like when we find something, like there have been times where I work for TBV where I found boxing stories on Reddit and followed them and ended up finding something, useful. Um, but we're protective of it, right? Like we don't want Reddit don't want blow up. Like they don't want viral shit. Like maybe you could take a screenshot and then post it on TikTok or YouTube, right? But like we don't want you infiltrating our shit, right? Like we're not 4chan, or I say we, like I'm not fucking Reddit, but I do use Reddit. And it's not like 4chan, it's not like a lot of those things. It's a community. A lot of us feel like mainstream media doesn't offer enough information and or context, and also most people that have like channels are fucking retarded. Like you look at like a guy like Asmongold, who's like, I mean, one of the biggest streamers in the world, right? I mean, easily one of the biggest in the world, top 5 pound for pound, and he's just like a giant dipshit, literally a giant dipshit, when it comes to politics, I mean. And so like, I don't know. I just like feel like it's like worth saying something today, because like if you heard, okay, so like I got messages yesterday for me and Supermax and the conversation. Specifically, somebody who I went to high school with, who's been a long time listener ever since the TBV days. He fucks with Matt, he fucks with Mex. He sent me a message. He was like, "Bro, you let Mex come on the show and say he doesn't mind being pulled over and have his papers searched for the sake of immigration, for the sake of keeping everybody authentic." And he was like, "Bro, how the fuck did you let him say that? And you didn't, And I'm like, "No, I debated the point. Like, I definitely thought that was wild stuff." But he made the point. He's like, "Bro, but you should have told him. Like, y'all were talking about 9/11. Like, if you're at this point where you're like, oh my God, immigration is such a huge problem. There are so many people at threat and people getting killed in national security, which isn't the case, obviously. But let's say that were the case. Like, okay, well, we have to take reprimands. We have to do something about it, right? Okay. This is the same thing that happened with 9/11, right? Terrorists attacked, and the patriotic narrative was, no, the police can look through my mail. The FBI can look through my emails. I have nothing to hide, and we have to catch the terrorists. So if I have to suspend some of my rights for the betterment of this country, then so be it." So that was like 2002, and then like 2005, we're already spying on America. Okay, and Obama has the NSA basically fucking tapped into everybody's fucking shit. Okay, Edward Snowden comes out, reveals this incredible network of spying on our own American public, and it all stems from 9/11. I mean, literally, you could go back and trace it. So for anybody, and this is again his point, I wish I thought of this. I wish I had this. I think this would have KO'd Mex last night on the debate. But he said, anybody who's willing to give up a piece of their rights has to know that they're going to be expected to give up more later. Like, when is the line drawn? And that's the question Mex would never be able to answer, because nobody's ever been able to answer that, right? Like, how much Big Brother is good, right? How much big government is good? How much is government spying on the American people good if it's for the sake of the betterment of our lives? Well, I say fuck that, dude. I really do. I say fuck that. I say, what is America worth protecting if it's not America anymore? Like, if we become a fucking communist China that spies on all its fucking people, and a North Korean sycophant who fucking literally thinks he's God, if that's what we're turning into, then what are we protecting? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not trying to like take this overboard. I'm just saying this is what this dude said to me. He said, Mex doesn't realize that it's a slippery slope with extra KY on it. And he's fucking right, bro. It's a slippery slope. Like, we're saying, oh, well, we're going to stop people that look brownish, right? Just to make sure you're all on the up and up, bro. It ain't no fucking racist shit. Well, yeah, it is, because you ain't going to stop white people on that. Mex said, I don't mind getting pulled over to show my papers. Well, I fucking do. Maybe your time ain't valid. And Mex, obviously he's a family man. He spends time with his kids. Like, I'm not going to, he definitely spends his time right as far as being the head of his household. I'm not questioning that. What I am questioning is like, bro, you just got time for the cops to just pull you over when you're not doing shit? But my friend who hit me with this, he's been in. He thought Mex had been in, but Mex had only been hemmed up with a charge. He said that when people go through the system like Mex did that early, that it'll sometimes condition them to feel like prisoners on the outside too. See, Mex don't care about giving up his papers because he's been in a position where he's had to give up his papers before, right? I never have. So I'm not going to. Why? Why the fuck would I? Why on fucking earth would I ever do something that someone else that's an American, same as me, doesn't have to do? Why? You know what I'm saying? Like, we all got to go to the DMV to get our fucking license, right? I mean, most of us. And in that case, it sucks, but it sucks for all of us equally, right? But if this whole immigration thing comes to a head where it's like, well, we are going to expect non-white looking Americans to basically give up their time to be on the up and up to make sure we're all safe. And by the way, how many people have they already fucking arrested and sent and deported that were actually Americans? You see what I'm saying? Like, and it's not fair, right? Because me and Mex, we were talking about other shit. We weren't having a debate on none of that other stuff. Like, everything I said last night was off the top of my dome. Everything I'm saying right now is off the top of my dome. I have no notes on this stuff, nothing. Okay. But he's right. My boy was right. All right. He KO'd Mex with that shit. Because you can't ever say, okay, well, this is enough. What's the word? Surveillance, right? When you agree to become a participant in a surveillance state, there is no exit from it. There is no undeployment of it. And there is no barrier for which you are able to understand pretext, meaning that there is no line that they won't cross. So it's like, okay, for right now, we're going to go ahead and need y'all to be pulled over and chill so we can check your license, make sure you're legal. Okay, well, where's that going to stop? Right? Am I going to have to, every government building I go in, every time we go to a baseball game and they check my ticket, are they going to also check my ID? And then is it going to take me an extra 5, 10, 15 minutes to get into the stadium because my surname is Munguia and they got to make sure I'm legal. I'm not illegal. But then the guy with the last name Lewis, they're just going to let in and get to his seat, right? He gets his popcorn. He gets all this shit. It ain't worth it to me, champ. That shit ain't worth it to me. Why? Why the fuck should I pay for my shit, right? Like, if Mex wants to slow him and his family down to get to the ballpark, to get to a birthday party, to get to fucking a school event, whatever, and he's cool with being 30 minutes, an hour late because they're on some bullshit, that's something I feel bad about. I feel bad. Like, I'm like, damn, bro, that's crazy. You've been institutionalized, you know. And Ness was the same way. Ness was the same way, bro, with TBV. You go back and you were to listen. Ness is very, very lucky that we don't have any footage for or any of those backlogs from the TBV days, bro, because he said some wild shit. But again, this is because he's a dude who grew up raised by immigrant parents, right? He got into the dope game to try to make a life for himself, right? Got caught up mostly because he didn't really understand the nature of that business. Not that he didn't understand it from where he's from, but you know, once you start moving product from across state lines, it's a whole different ball game. And that's what I don't think he realized until it was too late. I could be wrong. I mean, I've had many conversations with him. I've never really asked him the questions I've wanted to ask him. But yeah. And see, that's like the other part about it. Like, they all talk anyway, I'm not gonna get into that, but we're gonna get into the Eubank shit. Pull up. So Chris Eubank and Connor Benn have weighed in. Let me see. Both make weight for rematch according to the BBC. Benn heavier than Eubank Jr. at weigh-in. Conor Benn officially weighed in heavier than Chris Eubank Jr. on Friday, hitting the scales at 159.3 pounds, while his rival came in at 159.1. Ahead of their first fight in April, Eubank Jr. missed weight at 160.2 pounds on his first attempt and 160.5 pounds on his second, missing the middleweight limit. He was fined 375 pounds, $500,000 is the translation at the time, per the conditions of the contract. By the way, this is a story from ESPN's James Reagan. Shout out, James. Benn weighed in at 156.4 ahead of their first encounter, having come up from welterweight to make the fight. Now, I said this, guys. I don't know if anybody is going to remember from the summer and when we talked about it, but I said this was a big aspect of it, right? Because Conor Benn, look, boxing, it works in a way where you're not like just good at a weight class that's new to you. It doesn't work that way. You have to get acclimated to the weight class. And that comes with learning your body at that weight class, right? But it also comes with time and growing into the weight. I talked about this the first time. In fact, I really want to go find a clip because I really think I nailed this. But I had said that if we saw Conor Benn get closer to the weight, weigh in more after a fight he's already had at the weight, the more comfortable he gets, the worse it is for Eubank. And that's just obvious, right? That's not to say Eubank loses, but it is to say that a more comfortable Benn is a more confident Benn. A more comfortable fighter at the weight is a more competent fighter at the weight. So when we go into the rematch tomorrow, right? I think it's fair to say that we will be seeing a better version of Conor Benn than we saw last time. Maybe not stylistically, right? Maybe not from a technical aspect, right? I'm not saying that he's going to change any major aspects of his style or hope for a different fight script than ones that normally lead to his victory. What I am saying though is that having the conditioning and the condition to be more ready, more prepared for a fight at that weight class with the specific opponent, it only works to raise the potential performance of Benn. Now we look on the other side, right? With Eubank, he missed weight last time. Okay. He took the fine. Now that's important because had he been made to make the weight, would he have won the fight? And, it's not a huge drop in poundage, so there's a decent chance he would have. But every single ounce at that moment is vital, and it takes something from you, and if it too many ounces, there goes your legs. Too many ounces, there goes your arms. Too many ounces, there goes your stamina in the championship rounds. It's so many different factors that this can, ultimately fuck with. But all right. What the hell, dude? I don't know what happened to I don't know what happened to IG, but I guess we're off. Sorry, guys. Damn, I had 12 people? That's not bad. But I guess it's not worth crying over either. Hold up. Let me connect real quick to IG one more time. Sorry, guys. I swear this won't take long. Okay, Eubank-Benn too. Yeah, we're gonna do the gaming though. It's gonna be Twitch only. I mean, I guess I could start now. Like, if Abe's not gonna be able to make it and Matt, then I guess I could. Oh shit. And I guess we could just. I guess I could just connect to this. Yeah, that's fine. We could do that. Or were you asking me to do that, or were you just asking if we were gonna do any gaming today? Oh, the Senator pack. That's what you were saying. I'm sorry. I misunderstood completely. Okay, so the Senator pack. Yeah. I could do that. Yeah, we'll do that. Sure. No problem. Whoa, what the fuck? Okay. So we'll watch, I guess, Fight Hub. Well, let's do that, right? We'll give those guys some love. All right.
From the fighters to the scales, making his entrance.
Oh shit, but I'm on YouTube. Fuck. Anybody on YouTube? Sorry, guys. I'm gonna peace out. I gotta get out because they'll fuck me.